Imagine a life where MS fatigue no longer held you back. It may be an invisible symptom, but its impact is undeniable. In this video, we'll discuss factors you can address to gain control of your fatigue and lead the life that you deserve with renewed energy. So firstly, what is MS? MS is a chronic neurological condition that affects the central nervous system. Your central nervous system comprises of your brain and your spinal cord, and you also have a peripheral nervous system which comprises of nerves that carry signals between the central nervous system and your body parts and organs. The nerves themselves are made up of a bunch of different things, including axons. Now, axons are the wiring connection in the centre of the nerve, and this axon is surrounded by a coating of fatty tissue called the myelin sheath, which essentially acts as an electrical insulator, and it allows electrical signals to travel very quickly and efficiently along the nerves. In people with MS, the myelin is wrongly attacked by their immune system and damaged, so your nerves can't send electrical signals as quickly, or sometimes it's completely blocked. The myelin then becomes inflamed in patches called plaques or lesions, which can be seen on MRI scans. The communication between neurons break down, which can cause a huge range of symptoms depending on which part of the central nervous system is damaged. When the inflammation goes away, it can then leave behind scarring of the myelin sheath, which is known as sclerosis. And on top of that, MS can also damage the underlying axons, and it's thought that axonal damage is the main cause of disability and disease progression in MS. Now, one of the most common symptoms of MS is fatigue, which can have huge impacts on your quality of life if it's not addressed or managed effectively. So the MS Society defines fatigue as a subjective lack of physical and/or mental energy that's perceived by the individual or caregiver to interfere with usual or desired activities. So research has shown that fatigue is a problem for up to 92% of people with MS. For approximately 65% of people, it is their worst symptom and often one of the main reasons why people stop working. Some people describe MS fatigue as feeling like they constantly have flu-like symptoms with whole body aches, or that they might constantly feel tired, unrefreshed, weak, exhausted despite having had 8 hours sleep. What are the different types of MS fatigue? There are two main types of fatigue experienced. The first is primary and the second is called secondary fatigue. Now, primary fatigue is caused directly by the MS disease process, and reasons for this aren't fully understood, but it's thought to be due to the nervous system having to work harder to send messages from the brain to the body. Nothing you do causes this, and it's unrelated to the activities you may have done that day. So primary fatigue can be experienced in 4 main ways. The first is severe exhaustion. Do you ever find that you feel severely exhausted even when you haven't done much activity? This is called lassitude, and it's much worse than normal tiredness as it can happen at any time. The second is brain fog. So brain fog is when you have trouble thinking and remembering things, and it affects about 50% of people with MS. And it happens because the nerves in your brain are damaged and can affect things like your attention span, planning, decision making, and understanding or concentrating on specific things. There are strategies and exercises to help you cope and train, one of them being doing basic maths in your head. The third is heat sensitivity. So heat sensitivity is when you feel more tired in hot, humid weather, or you overheat during exercise. And it happens because your nervous system has to work harder to generate activity. Some people find that dry heat is better than humid heat, but other hot or humid environments can bring on your fatigue, including doing things like having very warm showers. The last is short-circuiting. So have you ever been walking somewhere and then suddenly find that your legs won't work? And then after a short rest, you find that you can continue walking? This is called the stop-start phenomenon, and it occurs because of the MS disease process, essentially. So the myelin sheath is damaged and therefore cannot do its role fully of helping electrical messages travel along the nerves from the brain. Therefore, the messages try to jump on another nerve to continue the transmission, but it causes this short-circuiting effect. The best way to navigate this is listening to your body and taking short rests to recover, interspersed with regular activity. So let's move on to secondary fatigue. Secondary fatigue is fatigue that isn't caused directly by MS itself, but other factors, some of which can be caused by living with MS, including poor diet, pain, other health conditions, poor sleep, stress, low mood. And you don't have to have MS to experience secondary fatigue. However, it does feel different to people with MS, and it can affect all areas of your life, including physical, mental, psychological, and social functioning, due to the nature of its unpredictability. So we're going to now talk about some of these secondary factors and what you can do to minimize the impact of the subsequent fatigue in your life. So the first thing is medications. Sometimes you may be taking medication for other MS symptoms, such as stiffness or pain that can have side effects, such as drowsiness. If you experience more fatigue following a medication change, it's important to speak to your GP or neurologist to make the necessary adjustments. Some people are also prescribed specific medications, particularly if their life is significantly affected by primary fatigue. And currently, guidelines in the UK recommend amantadine, modafinil, and SSRIs, which is short for selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors, provided that the potential risks and benefits are considered by a neurologist. Number 2 is surroundings. So the lighting and temperature of your home or workplace play a vital role in managing your fatigue. So be mindful of your surroundings, including temperature, lighting, stairs, as poor lighting can strain your vision, which will cause fatigue. You may also notice when it's too hot, your fatigue can worsen as your body temperature has gone up. So opening windows or drinking cold water in warm environments are super simple measures you can take to reduce your fatigue. Number 3 is nutrition. So another cause of low energy levels and fatigue is consuming a poorly balanced diet. And there's no robust scientific evidence that supports a specific diet for people with MS. However, it is encouraged that people keep a well-balanced, healthy diet and limit their intake of things like high sugar and processed foods. So incorporating some of the following tips can make all of the difference. So exercise and eat nutrient-dense foods, have a well-balanced diet, and make sure you include vegetables, legumes, proteins, carbohydrates, and don't exclude carbs because they do provide essential energy. You can also try consuming smaller meals more frequently because often heavy meals can cause fatigue, and avoid large quantities of spicy meals too. It's also recommended that you drink at least 2 litres of water per day, but if you do have bladder issues, do consult your doctor first, and eat in proportion to your body weight. Number 4 is exercise. So research shows that exercise can help alleviate fatigue symptoms, including primary fatigue. So if you start with light exercises that involve fewer muscles, such as seated exercises and alternating movements, it can be beneficial. It's important to gradually increase the intensity of exercises through a graded approach, and you'll find that as your muscles get stronger, fatigue levels will reduce as you begin to use your body in a more energy efficient way. So exercise has loads of benefits, including building strength, endurance, balance, and it can reduce your risk of developing other long-term health conditions. It can also help with other MS symptoms like stiffness, and it can improve your mood by releasing endorphins into your body. And no matter your current functional level, there's always a way to incorporate more movement into your life, whether it's seated or reclined exercises, or even just completing daily household chores like gardening or hoovering. Number 5 is sleep. So if you have difficulty falling asleep, staying asleep, or obtaining quality sleep, they're all things that stop a person from feeling truly rested when they wake up. And things that can stop you from sleeping well can include spasms or pain, bladder issues, depression, anxiety. So you can follow some of these tips to try and get better sleep. So the first is to use a sleep diary or sleep cycle app to identify your optimal bedtime. The second is maintain a consistent temperature throughout the night, so neither too hot nor cold to prevent overheating. Thirdly, aim to go to bed and wake up at similar times daily, and reduce your nap durations during the day if you find you're unable to sleep at night as a result. Complete a bedtime routine that can put your body in a state of relaxation. So for example, completing relaxation techniques or visualization strategies, and aim to have between 7 to 8 hours sleep each night and minimize any interruptions at night. If stress is a factor from stopping you from falling asleep, I'd suggest writing all your stresses on a notepad by your bed before completing some sort of mindfulness exercise, as that can be helpful. So let's move on to number 6, depression or low mood. Now, depression or low mood can cause many symptoms of MS to worsen, including things like fatigue, pain, and cognitive symptoms if left untreated. And it can affect your energy levels and vice versa. Feeling fatigued all of the time will understandably make someone feel low. Now, whether or not someone meets the criteria for a depression diagnosis, any symptoms that cause suffering or interfere with your daily functioning warrant attention and treatment. So if you're having any symptoms of depression, it is important to speak to your doctor to access treatment, which can include things like medications or counselling. But even following the advice that we discussed earlier can also help to bolster mood, as following things like a healthy diet, getting good sleep, increasing your physical activity can also promote better mood. So that's the end of the video. I hope you found some of those strategies helpful to start getting on top of your MS fatigue. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.